Hello and welcome to the Mayday Paintings YouTube channel. My name is Blake, and today I'll be going through my process for creating this sketch in watercolor. Let's get started. Today I'll be using my Chromebook for my photo reference, a homemade sketch easel, a set of artist quality watercolors I put together, mostly Daniel Smith. Today's colors are on the screen, a few round brushes, a camping container for water, some clips, a paper towel, and an H pencil. Instead of drawing with pencil, I put in a light wash to show where most of the forms were going to be. So I let that dry, and what I'm doing now is kind of looking for some more descriptive color and putting it down. So I'm trying to let the color mix more on the paper. I paint in acrylics a lot, and usually I mix my paint before I put it on the painting. But one thing I'm trying to do more with watercolor is work wet into wet and let the separate colors and pigments mix on the paper. As you can see, when I'm starting to put the darks in the pond area, I'm just trying to put a bunch of different colors that I see and let them interact with each other instead of making a big puddle of one homogeneous dark color and then laying it in. The brush I'm using is, I think, a number 8 synthetic brush. It is a watercolor brush made by Steve Quiller and Richardson. I used to use it for acrylic a lot, so I'm trying to kind of reclaim it for watercolor and let the acrylic particles get out of it. So I've zoomed out here a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing on my mixing palette. On the left, you can see I've swatched out a few of the colors I'm using. So my strategy now is to start putting darks in. I had just tried to match some of the local colors with the greens and yellows and what was in the water, but now I'm trying to heighten the contrast and add detail with the darks. This picture was taken a couple summers ago when I was walking my dog. There's like a sort of ditch that runs along a path where there's the ditch full of water on one side and then the lake's on the other side. So I think the lake probably overflows into the ditch, and it kind of makes like a sort of pond little ecosystem where lots of algae and plants and things live for the summer. I really like the contrast of like the yellow color and the dark of the water and the nice green colors. And you can start to imagine when you're going on walks and looking around outside what pigments you'd actually use. In the last clip, the light was starting to change pretty drastically because I was by a window and the sun must have gone behind a cloud or something because it was gotten really dark. But now we're back to some good light. So I'm just going back in, trying to darken this area and add more and more little details. I have switched from the bigger brush to a smaller round brush, and I'm just trying to put in the little dark spaces between the plants and create some textures. I'm also letting the dark paint kind of run down to the bottom of the wet area just to kind of help create where those natural shadows would be toward the edges of things. I'm also using the side of this longer brush to create some texture. Kind of like you would use a flat brush, but I think the side of a longer round brush is a little more unpredictable. So again, I just went under some of those shapes with some dark to try to separate them from the surface of the water. And now I'm starting to work on the foreground, placing in some of those spiky plant leaves and reeds and stuff like that. The brush I'm using it's kind of like a script brush or a rigger, but it's just a little thicker, so it can also do some round brush stuff. So now I'm using the H pencil to kind of scratch the surface and create some contrast and texture and some plant forms. If you do this with a pencil, it's important to do it with a hard lead pencil so that you're not leaving a lot of dark soft lead behind like you would with a HB or 2B or 6B or something like that. So trying to add a little bit more saturated color in the sky. I think I started with some phthalo blue and then was trying to knock it back, because phthalo blue is pretty saturated. I'm just trying to put in as many dark areas as I can so that I have those little areas of interest and contrast. So finishing up, I'm rubbing out the top areas of the plant masses where the sun would be hitting to try to create some more contrast. Then I went back and tried to blend in the rub outs with a few more marks of detail in the darks. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I think the colors came out nice. It has a nice sense of depth. Not incredibly detailed, but a good impression of the scene. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. You can support this channel by liking this video, subscribing, and following me on Instagram. See you next time.